Namaskar and good evening, traders. Tonight, 12th of December, Monday evening, almost 8 p.m., just a minute to go. And I think I will break down today's discussion in six parts. First, we'll talk about the Nifty in a bit of detail. We'll go to Bank Nifty. We'll talk about, in the third section, we'll talk about few sectors. If the Nifty slips, then which sectors can take the index down. FII and global data, not much there, but that will be our fourth section of discussion today evening. Then we'll take a look at an interesting sector, and that's the real estate, and why few stocks are worth keeping a close watch at. Closely looking at their intraday behavior and what we can make out of that. And finally, two stocks from the top 12 stocks of Nifty 50. One can support the index for further upsides, and on the other hand, one can drag the index down. So without wasting further time, let's talk about Nifty. As always, the weekly, daily and 75-minute time frame, short-term, intermediate and long-term. Focusing on the daily time frame first, we have an 8-day slide here, and this 8-day slide is beautifully made up of 4 negative days and 4 positive days. So very unbiased in terms of closing days, but it's been a slide. On a high to low basis, if we quickly drop an info line, then it's showing us around 3% correction for the Nifty. For an index, a 3 to 5% correction is not bad, which should be considered as a short-term correction. I was talking about this rising gap, and this rising gap is now history. Markets or Nifty has closed this gap. Ideally, we can expect a bit of support coming in from here. This is not a bad level, because I had shared this before, that this level coincides with its previous swing high, and in these kind of situations, supports do come in. We did see a bit of support, or not bit of support. If you track the markets live, then you would have really got surprised by the kind of momentum with which in the early hours the index bounced back very well, down 120 points, and all of a sudden flat. After that, it actually did not do much. After that, it kind of stayed range bound, but majority of the move came in here, right? So we can say that this zone, as of now, as per today, has managed to give us some bit of support. Now, because of the way it bounced back, because of the underlying momentum with which it bounced back, because of the fact that these levels more or less coincides with previous highs, etc., today's low going forward will be extremely important. We can have a short-term low in place. This depends on how the price behaves tomorrow, especially tomorrow. If we get a higher low, then this becomes a 1-bar fractal, which means that not a bad level. Which also means that because it's not a bad level, any breach of this, any kind of a breach of this will open up further grounds. If you closely monitor what has happened over the last 8 days to be precise, after a negative day, there has been a positive day. Lower high, lower low. The positive day's low got breached and the market fell. The positive day's low got breached and the market came down. And same thing has happened now. So if the positive day's low gets breached, we have some further grounds on the downside, which means that today's low is important, both from a bullish point of view as well as from a bearish point of view. Levels, let's work with today's low, which is close to 18,450, 456. So let's use 18,400, 18,450. And on the upside, a look at the 75-minute time frame will give you better understanding. This is where the index kind of spent some time before it broke down, right? And same logic applies here, that erstwhile lows should ideally act as highs. Now, so far, today's high has got capped due to these lows. So it's very important that this break happens for any kind of... Sorry for that. That was my IMAX Siri got activated. So as I was saying, that for any kind of upsides, this range needs to be taken out. I think 18,700 is bare minimum for any kind of retracement or recovering this entire 8-day slide. So let's use 18,700 and 18,400, 450 on the downside. Now let's go to Bank Nifty, second section. Extremely strong. Bank Nifty is one of those few sectors today which didn't even break below Friday's low. It held completely strong. It is an inside bar today as we look at it. Yes, of course, a bit of slowdown in the underlying momentum. What can you expect? We are almost on the 11th positive week. Is it a cup and handle on the 75-minute time frame? Possible. We can get some positive movement. HDFC Bank gave a move, so we'll talk about it a little later. But Bank Nifty is in a stage for me, neither can I go long on it, and it does not give me enough technical evidences to go short. In those kind of situations, na aap nigal pate ho, na aap, neither can you spit it, neither can you kind of take it in. So that kind of a situation Bank Nifty is for me at least. So I'm not doing anything. I'm not too interested over here. I'll be keen to see when I get the retracement of this phenomenal run. I'm not saying that it's going to crash and 50% will get recovered and I'm waiting to go short. But yes, I'm waiting to go short provided it gives me enough evidence. As of now, I'm sorry, I don't have anything on the charts. But I have few evidences on few sectoral indices, which if what we discussed on the Nifty, if today's low gets breached and etc., then I think that few of these sectors can bring in some weakness. Metals is one of them. I think consumption definitely is one of them. These are pretty decent charts, but any break of today's low for CNX consumption, CNX metals, you can add auto to that also. CNX auto, you can see it's an inside bar. So it has slipped into a structural downtrend. The lows of these 2 days are almost the same. So kind of a congestion on the weekly time frame. It's just buying time. Momentum is weakening. So any kind of a short-term dip can come in the CNX auto. And we can add CNX finance to that also. Finance, just like the Bank Nifty, had a great run, and we can see it's kind of slowing down at the top. Not as exactly rounding as of now, but yes, any kind of slip below today's low for these four sectors, auto, consumption, finance, and metals, can bring in some further weakness. Now, global markets, it's 7 minutes past 8 p.m. Indian Standard Time. Global markets, SGX is completely flat, nothing there. US markets are also flat. S&P 500 is at a very important critical juncture. Over here also, just like our Nifty, the index is buying time at its previous swing high, this. And this particular juncture for CNX 500 has been proven pretty well as a support. Weekly charts are not that great. Weekly charts are just trying to reverse. So every time we had a structural bounce back, it had led to a bit of corrective move because of the primary trend. So this particular support, will it open up on the downside? The possibility is enough on this chart that it might breach. If it holds, it's good. But if it breaches, then we have some downside to deal with. CNX 500 also has this rising gap. So this is the kind of level that one can work with from a very short-term point of view. So US markets right there, 72 almost crude. Now, very strong downtrend, almost 40% correction from its highs. Structural downtrend on the daily time frame, but I think it might start to buy some time. Too early to call a bottom. But let's see, we'll keep a close look at this. So SGX is 4 points down, nothing much to take away from it. FI is also nothing much to take away from it. Over the last 2 days of just barely doing anything, very low activity. In fact, towards the end of this month's trade, considering that FIIs will go in a holiday mode because of Christmas, I'm quite sure that the level of activity, the level of volatility also will come down. Okay, now let's bring our attention to the comparative charts of today's trade only. In our yesterday's, I think, video, I took a larger call amongst the comparative charts taking a look at the YTD, the year till date. But today I'm going to click on this 1 day. I'm just going to focus on how did the Nifty play out today vis-a-vis the various sectors. So chaliye, let's click on 1 day. So when we click on 1D, the chart's time frame essentially becomes 1 minute. What I'm interested to look at is, please bring your attention only to the black line. Just imagine as if all the colorful clutter does not exist, and just bring your attention to the black line. I'm going to mark it for you, it will be easier. The black line is Nifty, which had given a bounce back, which kind of stayed at an high over here, went through a short-term correction, went up and extended that correction and extended correction more towards the afternoon to bounce back. This towards the afternoon bounce back could not take out the highest point of the day that the index managed early in the morning. This is the Nifty behavior, okay? Now, if I hide all of them, if I kind of just hide all of them, yes, and let's take a look at metal alongside Nifty, then you'll see that metal also more or less fared more or less the same. In this move of metal was good because it took its previous high out, which Nifty could not. So this was a good move from metal, but this drop was also fairly high. So metal more or less mirrored it. And likewise, if you take a look at pharma, it actually stayed down. It was negative almost throughout the day. This is the zero line. So big underperformance coming in from pharma in today's price behavior. Finance, very, very similar to the behavior of Nifty. Consumption, I should not scroll, so I should just go back to 1 day. Now, this is consumption, which bounced back just like the Nifty, corrected just like the Nifty, and the bounce back also very much similar to the Nifty, could not take out the high. So nothing much from the consumption play. Now, of interest is the real estate for me, because when the Nifty came here at its day's high, real estate was somewhere here at its own day's high. Now, as real estate corrected till this point, till Nifty corrected till this point, real estate actually made a new high, intraday new high, and went up. Then it started to correct. All this while it stayed significantly up in the positive territory. Even at this point of time, at this correction level, it was up 0.5%, and then it moved up. Though as it moved up towards the end, the highest point over here was below its own intraday highest point, but overall it outdid the Nifty by quite a bit of a margin. I'll pause here. I'm not going to go for each and every one of them because I wanted to come to this particular sector. If real estate has shown intraday outperformance vis-a-vis the Nifty, then which are the stocks which has behaved so to support the sector? And is there any kind of an opportunity that we can look for? So I bring your attention to the 1D or 1 day comparative charts of the real estate stocks. This is Nifty, again, the black line. And if I do the same thing, just a visual introspection, we'll see a bit of improvement from DLF. DLF picked up really well. The beginning was not that great. It was just chopping itself out over here, and then it gave a good move, came down and then bounced back with the market. All right. But what I particularly like in this pack is Oberoi, because if you notice, DLF still stayed down for the early hours. The blue line is Oberoi. And Oberoi throughout the day stayed in the positive territory. It made an intraday high. It breached almost there a couple of times and it closed pretty well. So 1.2%, 1.25%. So we'll mark Oberoi. We'll hide DLF. If you take a look at Godrej Properties, which is this new line, also this played out really well. If I hide Oberoi for better clarity, you can see that throughout the day it was positive. It made significant grounds on the upside when Nifty was actually making a lower high. And towards the end also it managed a decent bounce back. So Godrej Property and Oberoi, remember these two names. Phoenix, no, huge underperformance. You can see this. Brigade, these are the few names which I have in my list. I don't track all of them. Now, very choppy, was down for majority of the part of the day. Then managed a bounce back, but could not stay for long and nothing great. It doesn't show the strength. And finally, Lodha. Definitely, staying above the zero mark, positive territory, almost 3.5% positive. So let's look at these three names on the charts: Lodha, Oberoi Real Estate, and Godrej Properties. So with this understanding, let's come here and I'll take you to my real estate list. There you go. So Oberoi Real Estate first. Interesting weekly charts, which is kind of consolidating. This gets reflected in the 3-bar range bound movement. I like the way Heiken Ashi is behaving. An inside bar today, not bad. Momentum is the issue. So I would say it's a make or break. It's got the potential if it gives them this. This is an outside bar, by the way. Friday is an outside bar. So Friday is low and Friday is high. Work with it for an immediate short-term move. Pattern traders can look at a little skewed kind of a head and shoulder, maybe. But if you get the breakout on the upside, this is how it will look like. Godrej Properties, now I think similar kind of a behavior. Oberoi Real Estate has a far superior weekly chart. Godrej Properties lacks that. Godrej Properties is in a far inferior long-term chart, so not that keen. Also, Heiken is not suggesting anything positive. It's a hot red Heiken on the daily time frame of Godrej. So Oberoi better off, and then I think we had Lodha, far better daily chart. It didn't even correct in the recent move. Okayish weekly charts, long-term charts are just trying to pick up. Short-term resistances definitely coming in these areas. Big range expansion today, hitting outside the 1 standard deviation on my range calculations. Today's low, good supports, aligning itself with previous highs. If you've been listening to this video, previous highs becoming current lows, not bad. So in terms of, I think, structure and trend, Lodha stands out, but Lodha doesn't stand out in terms of liquidity. So I would boil it down to Oberoi Real Estate. I'll keep a close look at Oberoi Real Estate and look for whether Friday's high comes first or Friday's low. That particular move should give us immediate short-term direction. Now, I'll end today's discussion with a couple of important stocks from the Nifty top 12. First, on the positive side, we got a breakout on HDFC Bank. Congratulations. This is the one which supported the Bank Nifty big time. This overall supported the Nifty also in today's trade. $1 million question over here should come is, will this breakout sustain? Will it show further upsides? If it sustains, it needs to take out today's high immediately tomorrow. Can't wait. On the other hand, if it buys time, slows down, on the other hand, if it breaks below today's low in the next 2 days, like tomorrow and day after, if in any chance, if it breaks below today's low, it will turn out to be a breakout failure. Please stay away from this counter for some time. Let's see what happens. I think we'll have tomorrow to give us a little bit of more clarity. HDFC also kind of inching towards the breakout, though it's got some levels up here. So it's not a very clean, sorry for this. It wasn't a very clean breakout as it is in HDFC Bank. So struggling, but this guy also has given us what we call as an outside bar. And once we have an outside bar like this, it's important that we mark the highs and lows and keep a note. Now, the Bank Nifty was extremely skewed because of the performance from HDFC Bank. Big time. If I don't know how it has closed, if we take a look at the banks, then it was fairly divided with few names being in the red and few names gaining grounds, out of which the one in the middle finds my attention the most as of now is ICICI Bank. It's an important counter. It's got some weightage in the overall markets. My momentum indicators are slipping. The structure is still okayish, but it's kind of angling on the downside, which is reflected in the 75-minute time frame. What we have in our hands is a short-term downtrend, which is now clueless, meaningless, directionless. Range contraction is something which I really like. It looks really good. On the futures chart, near month futures chart, it looks better actually. So any kind of a break below today's low, which is very close to Friday's low, which is decently close to Thursday's low. So this zone I'm talking about can open up downsides for the stock and therefore maybe for the Bank Nifty. Because it is consolidating, of course, it can show some strength and give us a move on the upside also. We should not forget that, because a congestion like this in turn allows us a breakout in either direction, either up or down. Just considering the fact of the momentum slowdown, considering the fact of the overall market conditions, etc., I think I'm a little biased on the downside. So I will not hesitate to opt for a short trade if, big time, if and only if price gives me enough evidence, right? All right, so till then, take care of yourselves and trade well, trade wise.